What's up, YouTube? Southern Comic Geek coming to you with the 6th and final episode of my Uncanny X-Men collection. We've journeyed all the way through Uncanny X-Men, -1 technically, and included Giant Size X-Men, and went all the way through 544 and then the annuals. And then now we're going to do volumes 2 through 5, and currently that's a wrap, because when House of X rebooted Uncanny X-Men, it dropped the Uncanny from the title, so now it is simply X-Men. I do have sets of X-Men, including what some refer to as Volume 2, or the Jim Lee era of X-Men, and depending on the amount of likes and comments that I get on this video and the previous 5 that I've done, as to whether or not I bother with showing you all those. With those, they're a little newer, a lot more people have them, but I do have the complete sets of those as well. So let me know down in the comments below. And if you haven't already seen the first 5 episodes of my Uncanny X-Men collection, you don't have to stop this video and get out of it and go see it right now. You can see it later, because I left the links in the description below. But as this video premieres, join us. Or if you watch this video later, still join us. Ever how you want to watch it, it's up to you. But be sure to hit that like button in either case, and also hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so that when videos like this drop, you will be one of the first people to know. And if you don't already know, I do videos like this and unboxings, mystery boxes, etc., for my comic book hauls, and we share together the journey in this crazy comic book collection hobby. With that said, let's dive in. So, Volume 2, Issue 1. So, they restart here, and the team consists of Colossus, who is also Juggernaut, Magic, and Emma Frost, as well as Hope Summers, kind of, sort of, Magneto, Storm, and Cyclops. Namor and Cerebro become a robot. And their first battle is with Mr. Sinister and the town of Sinister, as well as the Celestials. So this is Uncanny X-Men number 2. Number 3. The Phalanx pop their head back up for issue 4. And then Psylocke. Action there with issue 5. Issue 6. And then, of course, they're leading up to Avengers versus X-Men. This is issue 7. If you've seen the other video, you know that I'm not a real big fan of Greg Land art. And unfortunately for this Volume 2, which is only 19 issues, he did all, if not the majority of it. Issue 8. 9. And 10, they find this guy who's this baddie from years gone past, and eventually he just falls off the face of the written earth, and maybe he'll pop back up one day, and one of them characters nobody liked. Yeah, so volume or issue 11. So this is Red Hulk versus Juggernaut. So this is where Avengers and versus X-Men start. And you had a lot of these verses on either side. Thing versus Namor there with issue 12. Issue 13, Cyclops in the grips of the Phoenix. Issue 14, they go back to the town of Sinister and wipe the floor with them, since they have the Phoenix Force between them all. Issue 15. 16, 17, 18. Cyclops takes the last remaining Phoenix Force outside of him, which is an Emma Frost. And then that's when he certainly goes crazy. Issue 19. So I stand to be corrected. There were actually 20 issues in Volume 2. because here is the 20th. So they bid a goodbye at the Avengers when he kills Professor X, and he goes out saying, hey, the Phoenix Force, which is your fault, it got split in the first place. The Phoenix Force drove me mad. I killed the professor, yada, yada, yada. Kind of rationalizes him murdering the professor. And then he goes into the bad boy persona that Brian Michael Bendis wrote him. And then until here recently, Cyclops was just that. You know, he was the douchebag that nobody wanted to get along with. After he was resurrected, I think in Uncanny X-Men Annual number 1, which we'll see in a little bit later, I think that finally Marvel did a little fan service to all the Cyclops fans out there and said, hey, look, the Boy Scout that you knew, he's back. Okay, he's back. Sorry about that. But in the meantime, he is just that douchebag general. So this is Uncanny X-Men number 1 annual. Annual number 2 from the Dark Reign era. And then annual number 3. And this is volume 3. This is actually Brian Michael Bendis, aside from making Cyclops a royal douchebag, pretty decent job on these issues. You know, they kind of made the X-Men kind of comical, you know, so on and so forth. So it wasn't all that bad. But this is the first appearance of Gold Balls, a throwaway, castaway character that Hickman picked up with his run, and certainly is a lot more useful than what he was probably imagined by Brian Michael Bendis. This is the State Bird variant with Deadpool getting pooped on by all the various state birds. And Chris Bachalo, I think I pronounced his name right, it does most of the art for these. This is issue 2, 3, 4, 5. To go into limbo and fight off Dormammu. 6, 7, 8. And in these, you really see the strange family dynamic because Magneto sets up to be a traitor of the X-Men because Cyclops killed Professor X. Well, how many times did you try to kill Professor X? But it's that weird dynamic, you know. I'm okay with whooping you, but let somebody else do it, and now all of a sudden we're family, right? That's the thing that they say about family. It's okay for me to call my uncle, as an example, crazy, but don't let nobody else call him that. Then we got number 9. They turn Dazzler into an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. to try to bring in Cyclops and them. Number 10. And it's kind of different too because all the people that had the Phoenix Force, their powers were all messed up, including Cyclops. It says beams didn't shoot out straight like that no more. Number 11. One thing Bendis did with the X-Men that was horrible, aside from writing the main thing being bringing the old X-Men back in time. And so during that time, you had the Battle of the Atom, which you have a group of X-Men coming from a different timeline to try to stop Jean Grey. Jean Grey's a young kid, says, hey, that's the future me. That's not the me now, even though this is in the timeline now. So yeah, time travel does get confusing. I guess that's why we don't really do it in real life. But yeah, so this is the Battle of the Atom, where they're trying to figure it all out. And then this is issue 13. That's Mystique and Wolverine's son from a different deal. And Wolverine comments in there something about drinking or something to that nature. So it's pretty funny. Issue number 14. Reminds me of the Guess Who game. Does they have blonde hair? Issue 15. 16. Pretty cool Magneto cover there. 17. 18. Really like that Cyclops cover too. 19. 20. 21. 22. 23. This is the second print. But in the original Sin, of course, the most popular thing, two most popular things that came out of the original Sin storyline that spanned the Marvel Universe are three things. Nick Fury becomes the Watcher after he kills him. Thor loses the use of the hammer, so enter in Jane Foster. And then the Silk. Those are the most popular things that everybody remembers from original Sin. But the X-Men were not unaffected. And so Professor X, they find out, had been hiding this kid. Professor X, for those of you who've been reading X-Men over the years, from where Onslaught revealed that he had the hots for Jean Grey as a teen, or that instance where he hid this kid because this kid was way too powerful, or any of the other times, Professor X has done some devious stuff in the back. So it's whatever that he goes up against Magneto. At least you do know where you stand with Magneto. Uncanny XMen 24. A little Dazzler punk action there. That's what it looks like. Yeah. But then it's showing the skin, so I'm wondering if that is Husk. Issue 25. Kind of different. Pretty cool. 26. 27 variant cover. So this is an homage to Uncanny X-Men 138. Pink cover after Jean Grey is killed, or the Dark Phoenix is killed in 137. The next issue, Cyclops leaves the X-Men. And so it's that pinkish cover in the background. Of course, in this one, Deadpool saying, bye, bye-bye. And then we got another variant of 27. This is a Miko Sion. That was Mike Diodato, but Sion. Cyclops cover. Then we got issue 28. Issue 29. Is that Impossible Man? I think that's that guy's name. No, it's not Impossible Man. He's green. Can't think of his name. He's got a frying pan for a mask. Somebody leave a comment down below and let me know who that is. But that's She-Hulk reading Professor Xavier's will. Then we got issue 30. The Ladies of X. 31. Of course, Havoc and Cyclops have always had this good guy, bad guy deal. Usually Havoc is the one that's on the other side of the law, where Cyclops is usually the Boy Scout. In this case, Havoc's trying to do what's right. He's with the Uncanny Avengers, which was formed after the Age Avengers and X-Men versus X-Men deal. And he's part of the Unity team, so is Rogue. But and then, of course, Cyclops is on the lam from killing Professor Xavier. Issue 32. Cyclops killing all the other versions of himself there. 33. 34. 35. And then we've got issue 600. So this is when, and I've got another issue of this version of this coming in, but issue 600, so that's when Marvel went back to the legacy numbering. So if you, instead of starting with volume 2 and going 1 through 20, and then the issues for volume 3, if you added them back to the Uncanny X-Men, this would have been issue 600. So I really didn't understand it because that's how they end volume 3, aside from the annual, of which there was one. This is it. They finished that up, and then start right back at square. Start right back at square one with issue 1. So we're gonna reset everything, and we're gonna say it's issue 600, and everybody's gonna go, okay, great, this is awesome. And then what happens? We'll start back with 1, because you know why? Issue 1 sells. People buy issue 1 thinking, oh, someday it's going to be worth some money. And so that's why Marvel did it. So we got Uncanny XMen issue 1. And so Sabretooth, Magneto, Archangel, M, and also Psylocke are members of this team. Issue 2. Greg Land back on X-Men again. Issue 3. That, to say the least, Magneto does have a lot of blood on his hands. Issue 4. Little Dark Rider behind Psylocke there. Issue 5. Issue 6, which is a throwback to X Factor, was it 5 or 6? The first appearance of Apocalypse, where Apocalypse is in the middle and all the X Factor people are back there. So it's an homage cover. And then we have a variant cover of issue 6. This connects with some other comics at that time. Then we got issue 7. Issue 8. This is during the X-Men Apocalypse Wars. Like, I think Colossus becomes a member. This is an Extraordinary X-Men. Colossus becomes a member of, or becomes possessed by Apocalypse or one of his horsemen or something. So, number 9. Number 10. Doesn't look like a good predicament to be in. A bunch of angry archangels. The birds! The birds! And then we got issue 11. So, during this time, Sabretooth kind of gets a thing developed for M, our Monette. And then, of course, her brother, Empath, she absorbs him up, and so she's hiding it from everybody. But Sabretooth knows because he can smell it. Issue 12, Magneto like a boss right there, Hellfire Club. Issue 13. Issue 14. And so Exodus being one of Magneto's acolytes from back in the day. An Omega level mutant. I hadn't really seen much of him in House of X, though. I think he's on the Silent Council. And then we got issue 15, a little reflective cover. There you go, Steven Spock. And then this enters Inhumans and X-Men. This is issue 16. And then, of course, in Inhumans and X-Men, the cloud that the Inhumans get their power from is actually deadly to mutants. And Cyclops actually dies. Multiple Man dies, which has happened multiple times. You saw what I did there. And then it always ends up being his dupe or something like that. So, issue 17. Issue 18, 19, and that is the last issue of that, and you have one annual number 1. And then we're going to get into volume 5. Volume 5 was the last volume before, as I mentioned earlier, House of X, Powers of 10 restarts everything. It gets kind of wonky because during that time they come back. Some of them are spirited off. Well, I'll get out in that in a minute. So we got issue number 1. This is the David Finch cover, variant cover there. David Finch, great artist. Then we've got number 1, another artist does, and I don't recognize who that artist is. I think all would recognize this artist, especially if the feet were showing. That would be Mr. Rob Liefeld. Usually these last volume, they're pretty cheap. And you know, people Ed Brisson, who wrote the series, kind of write him off as like you were killing everybody. You knew. Blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the deal, because it comes out later that he knew, hey, everything's fixed to be reset. So you just do whatever the crap you want. Is basically what Marvel told him, and so there you go. That's what he did. And then we've got another one, issue 1. And my favorite of issue 1, the Mark Brooks cover. There's a virgin variant of this. Whoa. Wow. Then we've got Multiple Man, the John Christopher variants, action figure variants. Then we got issue 3. So Legion ends up trying to help stop Nathan Summers, who's from the Age of Apocalypse. Got the little Jesus motif going on. He gets his own little archangels, if you will. Ironically enough, Archangel is one of his, to be his horsemen, similar to the way Apocalypse did. And this is volume 5. And then this is issue 6, the variant edition. This is the Conan cover, and it's actually on, I forget what issue of Conan. It's the same cover, they just reused it, but J. Scott Campbell done it. Just couldn't pass that Road cover up. Then we got issue 6, the Stan Lee Memoriam time. Issue 7. Yeah, it got really wonky. The younger younger X-Men go into the future, and then they come back older. I mean, oh my goodness. It's one of those issues that you just kind of trod through. It's like, okay, I'm an X-Men fan. I'm just going to keep on going, and hopefully it's going to get better. And it did. House of X. But the latter part of these series was pretty decent, which is where I picked back up collecting Uncanny X-Men, was in the latter part of the series, not this first part of it. But this is issue 8. And again, you have a action figure variant of Nightcrawler. Then we got issue 9. And then we got issue 10. And so this is where Nate Gray, I said Summers earlier, but Nate Gray takes everybody in this alternate dimension, and they have the Age of X, I think is what it's called, for a little while, and it was, I don't even have it. I guess I had to draw a line somewhere. I got the first issue because I bought it off an auction, and it's got some signatures on it, but I did not buy the rest of them, because the one issue I read, Bishop had a thing with Jean Grey, and it's like, okay, this is just too much. This is where I picked it back up at, Uncanny X-Men 11. And so they resurrect Cyclops, the younger, or Kid Cable, as they call him. And Cyclops comes back, and he's like, hey guys, I'm back. Oh, everybody's gone. So this whole dream that you see kind of in the back of coming back to the X-Men and being like old times is gone. And, of course, he meets up with Wolverine, who was resurrected. And that's all told in The Return of Wolverine. But this was meet up with each other, and they're going to get the band back together, and come to find out everybody's dead, or at least gone. And then this is issue 11, the Ron Lim variant. Issue 12, hey guys, let's get the band back together. So then they just say, okay, well, all these people are gone. We've got all these villains out here. We need to take them down one by one. Let's take them down. No holds barred. If we're going to go out, we're going to go down swinging. We're going to take them down with us. And so they start going after these mutant bad guys. This is 13. Hope Summers is planning on assassinating. She becomes part of the team. So 14. X-Men. Getting some of the lesser known, like Banshee after the Apocalypse Siege, just death warmed over literally, and Magic, and a whole bunch of the gang there. This is 14, the second printing. Little New Mutants call back there. Then we got 15, Hope Summer shoots him in the head, knocks his eye out, so then literally he becomes Cyclops. We got 16. Little callback to the old one where it showed the Jim Lee cover from back in the day, where it shows her got Wolverine there. Then we've got issue 17. And we got 18. 19, a little Willis Portacio action there. She's like, oh, Cyclops, you're back. Let's get back together. And he's like, not so much. 20. 21. And basically, Emma Frost, lets them operate on her brain, and so she makes everybody forget why they hate the X-Men. And so it's kind of like a callback to the Fall of Mutants, where the X-Men died and you can't see them by the camera. And then you got 22. There's a Barry Windsor Smith issue of Uncanny X-Men I can't think of, but that reminds me a lot of that. But that's the last issue of the series. This is 22, the Venomized variant. Jay Anceletto, Jay Anceletto did that. That's the Virgin version of that. And then there is one annual, and in the annual, it explains how Cyclops came back, and you see all these versions of Cyclops, and that's when they made him a non-douchebag, made him more of a Boy Scout like he had always been, up until the Brian Michael Bendis days. And so that's it, folks. It's hard to believe that only in a few short episodes, 6 to be exact, that we've been able to travel down all the 600 plus issues of Uncanny X-Men. I do want to thank everybody who's checked out this video and the others. If you haven't checked out the other ones, be sure to check the links down below, and you can do just that. But be sure to hit a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And let me know what you thought about this collection of videos based on your comments and the amount of comments as to whether or not I do some more of these. I also have, like I said, various, all of the first volume of New Mutants, all 100 plus issues, counting the annuals. And then you got all of the first volume of Cable, all the volume of first volume of X-Force, all the first volume of X-Factor, and so on and so forth. And so let me know if you'd be interested in seeing those as well. For those of you who have been, like I have, off and on in this hobby for a bunch of years, you'll go, oh yeah, I remember that. Remember when picking it up off the spinner rack, as a matter of fact. And I hope that gives you a little bit of the nostalgia factor. And for those of you who have never seen those issues, go, oh man, let me check that one out. Let me pick that one up. So in either case, I hope you have had as much fun as I have in sharing this, and as much fun as I had in collecting all these in the various shops that I visited, the dollar bins and the eBay sales and the YouTube auctions, so on and so forth, that I visited, to get all these together into one collection. Because as you might be aware, I've got rid of all my collection before, and so I did have to start back over from scratch, but I've been able to amass them in a short amount of time, and I'm appreciative of that. So again, thank you for watching. As always, keep reading and keep collecting. Adios.